So you've got a tricky email to write, maybe a project to plan out. What's your first move? If you're like millions of us, you're probably reaching for an AI assistant. I mean, why not? It's fast, it's easy, it kind of feels like a productivity superpower. But here's the thing, all that convenience comes with a hidden cost. And the one paying the price, it's the most powerful tool you have, your own brain. We're just now starting to realize that this convenience might be rewiring us in ways we really need to understand. The official term for this is cognitive offloading. And look, it's not brand new. We've used calendars to offload our memory and calculators to offload math for a long, long time. But the scale of today's AI, it's a whole different ballgame. We're not just offloading a reminder for a dentist appointment anymore. We're offloading the very process of thinking, of piecing ideas together and creating something new. And that brings up a huge question. When we hand over these really complex mental jobs, what's actually going on inside our skulls? Is AI making us smarter, supercharging our abilities? Or is it quietly chipping away at the very skills we need to think for ourselves? In this explainer, we are going to get into exactly that. I'll start with why offloading is so tempting. Then we'll look at some brand new science on what your brain actually looks like on ChatGPT. We'll talk about the real price of all this ease, what it feels like to lose ownership of your own ideas, and then, most importantly, how we can chart a smarter path forward. Okay, first up, let's just admit it. The appeal is undeniable. AI tools can feel like magic, right? They clear our to-do lists and let us focus on the big picture. But are they just a helpful tool, or are they becoming something else? The whole debate really boils down to this. Is AI a bicycle for the mind, making our natural abilities better and faster? Or is it a cognitive crutch that lets our mental muscles get weak? We've actually seen this pattern before. Just think about GPS. Studies have shown that people who rely heavily on GPS have less activity in the hippocampus. That's the part of your brain that builds mental maps. We get to our destination just fine, but we lose our internal compass, our natural sense of direction. Now, that GPS example was an early warning sign, but it was based on just observing behavior. For the first time ever, science is giving us a direct look under the hood to see what generative AI is actually doing to our brains in real time. So a groundbreaking study from the MIT Media Lab decided to stop guessing and look inside. Researchers hooked people up to EEG machines, the caps with all the sensors that measure brainwaves. They wanted to see what happens when we write, paying close attention to the frontal parietal networks. Think of these as the brain's headquarters for deep thinking and complex problem solving. The experiment was pretty simple. They had 3 groups write essays. Group 1, they had to use only their own brains, old school. Group 2 could use Google for research. And Group 3, they got help from ChatGPT. What they found was, frankly, startling. Here's the headline number. The ChatGPT group showed a staggering 55% drop in brain connectivity compared to the people who wrote without any help. Let that sink in. This isn't just a tiny dip, it's a massive reduction in the neural crosstalk that is the very signature of deep thinking. Let's look at the breakdown. The unaided group, that's our baseline with the highest brain activity. Now, the Google search group, they saw a big 48% drop, which is a whole story in itself about the so-called Google effect. But the AI-assisted group, they had the biggest drop of all. See, they weren't just looking up facts, they were outsourcing the really hard work of connecting those facts into coherent ideas. And the effects went way beyond just brainwaves. The AI users remembered less of what they wrote. A huge majority couldn't even accurately quote from the essays they had just finished. They also felt less like the work was truly theirs. And to top it off, human graders found their essays to be more bland and formulaic. This all leads us to the long-term consequences. The short-term win of using AI clearly has a cost, and it's a cost that researchers are finally putting a name to. They're calling it cognitive debt. And it works just like financial debt. You get an immediate benefit, in this case, an easy, frictionless experience, but you're racking up a long-term deficit. You're basically borrowing from your future self, paying for today's convenience with tomorrow's ability to think critically, to remember things, and to create. This is the great paradox of AI. Right now, in the short term, the output looks amazing. We feel super productive, the work feels easy, and the final product might even be better on paper. But in the long run, that very ease leads to cognitive atrophy. It weakens our ability to solve problems on our own. The best way to think about it is this. Your brain is a muscle, and it needs resistance to get stronger. Scientists call this productive struggle. When AI takes away that struggle, that friction of trying to find the right word or connect two different ideas, our neural pathways just don't get the workout they need. And, well, just like any muscle you don't use, they get weaker. Okay, so beyond the biology, there's a really deep psychological impact here. When we skip the struggle, we're also skipping a critical part of how we learn and create. I love this quote from Professor John Warner. He says, "Writing is thinking. The act of trying to put an idea into words is actually how we figure out what we think. It's how we explore it and refine it." So when we let an AI do the writing, we're not just outsourcing words on a page, we're outsourcing the thinking itself. We become spectators to our own work, and we lose that powerful feeling of intellectual ownership. But there is some good news here. Research gives us a clue on how to fix this. It turns out that when you use AI is absolutely critical. Here's the takeaway. If you use AI to generate your very first draft, that feeling of ownership just tanks. But if you do the hard thinking first and then use AI to challenge or help refine your ideas, you keep that crucial sense of ownership. The timing is everything. All of this data seems to be pointing toward a future where our relationship with AI sends us down one of two very, very different paths. Some experts are calling this the cognitive bifurcation. On one side, you'll have people who use AI for augmentation. They're leveraging it to amplify deep skills they already have. But on the other side, you'll have people who become dependent, using AI as a crutch until their own skills start to fade away. The big question we all have to ask is, which path are we on? So how do we make sure we stay on that path of augmentation and not dependency? Well, it all comes down to changing our habits and being more intentional, more mindful about how we use these tools. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The single most harmful practice, the one that racks up the most cognitive debt, is using AI to write your first draft. The productive way, do the hard work first, write that draft, form that opinion, create that outline, and then bring in AI as a sparring partner, as a critical sounding board to help you make your own thinking even better. So here's a simple framework. 1, always start with your own brain first. 2, use AI as a challenger, not a creator. 3, actively push back. Critique and verify everything it gives you. Fight that urge to just passively accept it. And 4, this is a big one, deliberately practice doing things without AI. It's like going to the gym for your brain, keeping those mental muscles strong and agile. In the end, it all comes back to this one simple question. As these incredibly powerful tools get woven deeper and deeper into our lives, the choices are ours to make. Is your AI a tool that's helping you think better, or has it become a crutch that you can't think without? The answer to that question is going to define not just our productivity, but the very fitness of our minds.